Now, there's been a lot of conversations going on about the FTC Microsoft merger. We've completed the first 2 days. You can go watch my videos about that, but let's catch up on a few things I missed from the first day, from day one, and then let's catch up on a few of the things that other people have been saying about this case right now. So first of all, let's go back to the Exhibit K filing that a lot of people thought would be a big bombshell in the gamer lawsuit. To refresh your memory, this is actually about, well, let's actually go to the original tweet first. A Microsoft rep shares a significant update on this. While they still can't divulge the contents of the email, they're able to now say that it was sent in 2019. That means whatever anti-PlayStation sentiment strategy it may contain preceded the Microsoft offer for Activision. And that was from the 20th, where lawyers in the gamer antitrust suit against the Microsoft Activision deal have been arguing over Exhibit K. And it supposedly shows an Xbox exec saying that they plan around buying Activision is to put PlayStation out of business. Now, that was not at all what it was about. It was actually about this quote from Matt Booty. FTC lawyer asked Xbox's Matt Booty about emails he sent in 2019. No effing way, Booty wrote at the time about bringing first-party games to competing services. This is presumably Exhibit K I wrote about earlier in the week. Booty tells Microsoft's lawyer this was an old strategy. What that was actually about was NVIDIA GeForce Now and the likelihood of Bethesda games being released on that platform. The reason he was so upset about that was because NVIDIA had just been putting Bethesda games on the service without their permission. So there was a lot more context behind the tweet than what we expected, and it kind of makes sense now. Now, I just thought I'd just clear that one up really quick, but Tom Warren has also said, it's still not clear if we're going to hear from Jim Ryan. Now, the room was cleared. We kind of thought that we weren't going to get that one, but here's what he says. It's still not clear if PlayStation's chief Jim Ryan's deposition will be fully sealed or not in FTC versus Microsoft. Sony's counsel has been speaking to Judge Corley about Ryan's deposition, as it seems at least parts will be sealed. It was supposed to be shown on Friday. So Friday was day 2 of the case, and Thursday night, I noticed on the Pacer, I think it's called Pacer website. I'm not familiar with too many legal service things, but anyway, they were scrambling to seal this testimony from Jim Ryan. And here's the document that he found. Court reconvenes, all parties present. Phil Spencer resumes the witness stand and is under further direct examination by Mr. Weingarten. And you can see all these exhibits are redacted. Phil Spencer under cross-examination by Mr. Wilkinson. The court called for noon recess. Court reconvenes. These are like the notes. Elizabeth Bennett appeared on behalf of Sony. It's sealed. Court is now open. Phil Spencer resumes the witness stand. And then you can see all of the different conversations going on. So there is still a chance that we end up hearing from Jim Ryan in the coming days. Let me see if there's anything else here that I had handy. Stephen Still said in an FTC versus Microsoft Activision Blizzard deposition, PlayStation chief Jim Ryan said that if the deal closes, Sony couldn't tell Activision about its next console. It's then asked about Sony working with Mojang after Microsoft bought them. Discussion is redacted, but Ryan says it supports this concern. And if you remember, there was a big testimony about Microsoft getting dev kits for the Minecraft PlayStation 5 version. Well, it turns out that they never did, so they were never able to update the PlayStation 5 version of Minecraft. And currently, I believe Minecraft is still the PS4 version of that, but I don't know where that game currently stands. But that was the one where I thought, okay, I sort of see the point that the FTC is trying to make. I don't know if it came across for the judge, though the judge didn't seem to be particularly interested, but yeah. Among some of the other exhibits Microsoft and Activision want to use in their defense against the FTC, 3 involving Activision execs discussing Steam, Nintendo, and Game Pass cannibalization of sales. This would probably go to further illustrate the point that they never had any sort of plan about releasing on xCloud. Microsoft, unprompted, sent a bunch of press people the following statement. Unlike Sony, our most senior executives will testify in person to answer any questions about our business strategy. This deal means more choices for gamers, a fact that only becomes clearer the more you look at the case. And that was when we thought that we'd be getting Jim Ryan via video. So let's jump over to some of the reactions. Lulu Ching Maservi had sent an internal email out to people basically saying that the FTC doesn't seem to really understand our industry and refer to it as factually weak and legally a stretch. An expert called the comments spin. So hi all, quick updates. Last week, the US FTC filed suit in federal court to try and stop her merger with Microsoft. And basically she says, I won't blow up your Slack with play-by-plays, but you can follow this thread for more updates over the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, even with a lot of background noise, I know everyone is head down shipping and delivering for players. So thank you for that and for being the best at what you do. You can see that full story over on IGN. I'll link to it in the comments below. But yeah, so I don't know why she didn't just tweet it. Like, she knows this stuff's going to leak. So I was a little surprised she didn't like tweet it out, but that was an internal email that was sent out. Rick Hogue also had some comments about some of the things that have been happening in the case. Like, one of the criticisms that I've had and a lot of people had are like, okay, these two American companies want to merge. Why is the FTC backing up a Japanese company that expresses concerns? Hogue said, people are funny, but the purview of the FTC and American antitrust in general is not naked protectionism. The domicile of the parties shouldn't even enter the calculation. So he's basically saying the goal of the FTC is to stop anti-competitive behavior. It doesn't matter where the companies reside. So when you bring that up, it does sort of like make me realize, yeah, okay, that's what the FTC is doing. But are they doing it well, or are they doing it poorly? They are doing it quite poorly. Here's what he had to say about the case in general. Honestly, would have dropped console completely if I were the FTC. They seem spread too thin with this number of arguments, many made poorly as a result. Didn't the FTC want this to only be 3 days? What was the plan? They wanted a default kind of PI without talking about it too much, it appears. So long story short, the FTC just isn't looking really good in this case. And it's 5 days long, so it's not going well for them. He actually continued on. Gotta say, it feels like the FTC is deep in the weeds today. They're having trouble convincing that Xbox even would make Activision Blizzard games exclusive, and that's only half the argument they need to make. Good luck to them in trying to establish that exclusivity will have even a small effect on overall competition. That's why they're fighting so hard against Nintendo. Honestly, I thought the FTC would be more prepared than this. These weaknesses were apparent for months, and they don't appear to have any strategies regarding them at all. They just keep asking Phil Spencer, would you make Diablo Xbox exclusive, or would it still be available on PlayStation? And Phil Spencer's like, we'd release it on PlayStation still. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the long and the short of the statement. And then they're like, you can bind the company today. And obviously, and the judge has already called out the FTC saying like, they have to come to a deal still. Like, Microsoft isn't like purposefully withholding stuff from PlayStation. They've offered it to all these other companies. That just doesn't make any sense. And the judge is kind of frustrated with that line of questioning, which is why I think it looks bad. And there was a comment from Hogue about, fun fact, all non-coercive trades are based around both sides getting something they value more than what they gave up. This is about the $70 billion price point that was brought up during the trial the other day. I forgot to bring it up, but hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you like my content. But basically, they had to clearly say that, yes, it's worth more than 70 billion to us. They feel like they're getting a good value on their buy. Activision feels like they're getting a good value. So there's no issue there. If you're already subscribed, hit the like button. There were a few other reaction tweets. Foss Patton said, as I explained in my blog post today, these questions were intended to elicit a no, trying to diminish the significance of the promise not to withdraw COD from PlayStation. But as I also explained, it is egregious conduct by the FTC, as a party might say yes in order to win the case. So Florian Mueller, he's often regarded as like sort of being too concerned about Microsoft, but right there, he's actually saying, here's what the FTC is trying to do. They're trying to get Phil Spencer to say no, but the problem is they can literally just say yes and then, change things up later. I think that's what he's alluding to. I don't want to speak for him, but the judge cut them off about the $0. That's what Peter Ova was talking about. So Florian was explaining the goal of the FCC asking those questions, that they failed to get the responses that they needed to lay it out. Next week, he brings up that we can hear from Satya Nadella, Bobby Kotick, and Microsoft CFO. And all they have left is an economist contradicting his own papers on impact of exclusive content and on console market definition. So that's what we have to look forward to next week. I think the remaining witnesses that the FTC has to call are incredibly weak and not a great look for them. The one tweet that I saw blowing up was from Rebs Gaming, who was sort of reacting to all this stuff. He says, despite being an Xbox informer, I refrained from getting involved in console wars because I thought it was silly. But now that I learned what Sony does to Xbox, it's hard for me to respect Sony. And this has 5,246 likes, 1.6 million views. So a lot of people have been discussing about it and basically just saying, like, here's the reaction to it. I haven't read these yet, but Daniel Mott says, my favorite outcome of the trial has been people learning how capitalism works and then thinking only one company in the world operates with these principles. Microsoft is going to try and do the best thing for Microsoft. Sony is going to try and do the best thing for Sony. But I definitely hear the reaction there. Gabriel says, if only the history could be written. If only the internet could forget. If only Titanfall's Xbox exclusive. Like, Xbox does these things also. I think the differentiation is Xbox doesn't deny that they did these things. They're not pretending that they didn't do these things. PlayStation does these things, and then when somebody else does it to them, they're like, oh, how could you do this to us? And I think that's where people sort of take issue, right? MBG's like a big PlayStation YouTuber. He's a big PlayStation fan. Here's his take on the tweet. It's funny to see stuff like this get so much support. People think I'm silly for pointing out the current narrative. Microsoft equals good guy. Sony equals bad guy. What? That has not been the narrative, so I don't know where he's getting that. Anyway, I guess some people don't know or forget that Microsoft used many of the same tactics in the past. He's right. They did. Again, the issue is the framing of it, right? PlayStation says when Microsoft does it, they're bad, but when they do it, it's good. And that's the framing people have issue with. And now PlayStation is exposed on the stand saying that, or there's internal documentation from Microsoft saying we bought Bethesda because we heard that PlayStation was going to make Starfield PlayStation 5 exclusive. They had already done it with Ghostwire. They already did it with Deathloop. And then Starfield was coming down the line and they were worried about that. So they're like, all right, let's buy the company. Like, Microsoft has the capital to be able to do that. And that's where that came from. I don't mean to pick on MBG, by the way. I actually do watch his YouTube content from time to time, but I felt like some of his tweets were interesting. Indiana Jones was going to be multi-platform. Microsoft made it exclusive after they acquired Bethesda. I actually don't know why I have that one up. He's just saying that's accurate. Sony and Microsoft are not looking out for each other. They are in competition and will do whatever they can to achieve the dominant position in the gaming market. They don't care what happens to each other along the way. It's about the bottom line and market share. Again, it's about framing. So for MBG, all of his tweets, and I'm using his tweets because he is the PlayStation-centric voice out there. Probably one of the strongest ones that I can think of. If you know of somebody else that I should be following, let me know. Like, I know Mystic's pretty good, but he usually waits longer to post his content. He doesn't do a ton of reactionary stuff on Twitter. MBG is sort of like really in it and in the moment. So that's why I'm utilizing his tweets to sort of as jumping off points. Yeah, I do agree. They are both in competition. I don't think that Microsoft wants to like destroy Sony. I think Phil Spencer's even said that on the record that he doesn't want to destroy Sony. Sony very clearly wants to destroy Microsoft. They want them out of the games industry because they I think are realizing that the one company that could push them to be better is Microsoft. And if Microsoft and Sony are neck and neck, that's what I want. I don't want Sony, for me personally, I don't want Sony to go away. I don't want Microsoft to go away. I don't want Nintendo to go away. But if they all had 33% of the market share, or somebody had like 40 and the math was split between the other two, and that sort of ebbed and flowed, I am totally okay with that, because that keeps all the companies on their toes, and that means better things for consumers. And that's what I want at the end of the day. I want the best possible result for the customer, not for the company. Am I excited about what's coming down the Xbox pipeline? Absolutely. I think Sony has some very strong things coming also. But if they are able to purchase Activision, I do think things balance out a lot more, and it's just going to get better from there. So you're telling me Microsoft's end goal in buying Activision is to put PlayStation out of business? I would have never guessed. So this is from the 20th, and it turned out that that was just incorrect. It wasn't about Activision at all. It wasn't about putting Sony out of business. It was Bethesda reacting to the fact that Nvidia had been ripping their games and posting them on their live service. So I just wanted to bring that one back up because this tweet from MBG got about 80,000 views, 755 likes. But what it turned out being was an emotional reaction by Matt Booty. I believe it was Matt Booty. Anyway, reacting to the fact that those games had just been being shipped. At least that was my read on it. I think that's everything I wanted to catch y'all up on. Now I can close all these tabs, thank goodness, because I'm a little bit tab obsessive. A few other small notes that you should know about. The UK actually posted their preliminary findings, and there will be further discussion about this, but the concerns we are testing, the parties are competitors in the video game development, publishing, and video game distribution. However, we consider that the proposed acquisition is unlikely to result in horizontal effects in any relevant market, as there will remain several well-resourced competitors in the merging parties, so that's positive for Microsoft. At this stage, the focus of our investigation is whether the proposed acquisition is likely to substantially lessen competition due to vertical effects in the distribution of cloud gaming. Now, that's a 22-page document. Again, that'll probably be my video for Monday, as we still have like a blank day before we get back to the trial. So I'll save that one for there. But here is Michael Acton. Apparently this person works for MLEX. He said, there's an audible oof from a few members of the audience. Microsoft has no further questions, so we are done with Spencer. That was in regards to the judge cutting off Spencer when he was repeatedly asking questions about like committing to COD coming to PlayStation, which he had said yes to several times. And the judge is like, look, I've heard enough, like move on. You've made, like, he's answered your question. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you want to become a member and support this channel, you can do so. Just click that join button right down there. I'm going to update this member list right after it. So if you become a member today, should be updated by the next video. I'm going to get out of here. If you want to see the day 2 recap, you can do so here. We're probably going to talk about the New Zealand thing on Monday, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.